Okay, that's kind of weird. Not sure if I'm actually being heard right now. I couldn't hear the jingle. I could hear the song, but I couldn't hear the jingle. So let me get Mike's microphone opened up here first, and that way I can double check to make sure that we're going here. Okay, it's having a bit of trouble, so there you go. Well, welcome to Outside the Books. I'll just continue on as if everything is normal. And your host, Kate of Gaia, and of course, Ninja is hopefully able to jump in the call here. I've got the phone ringing on her end, so let me see. Okay, thanks, Paul. Good. Yeah, you gotta love those shows. You start off, you're not sure if you're actually talking to yourself or talking to the universe. Well, you're talking to the universe when you talk to yourself. A little date on, I think it was Aristotle said the quote. What's the quote? I think, therefore I am. A slight correction there. I am, therefore I think. It has to be a singularity, you see. So that's what I do. Let me try that again for you, Michael, and we'll get you in here. Okay, Mike, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, beautiful, Kate. Aloha.
Aloha. So there we go. What a day. Ruby Tuesday. Thanks, Sean. That was a beautiful moment of now to confirm a few things. That's the thing is I love looking at everything and how quickly the reality shifts. There was interesting post in Skype from Mystic, and I think I want to touch on this a little bit today, as well as Phoenicians, in terms of sound and how things can get misconstrued by anybody that is going to interpret your sound or your law for you. If you're using literal definitions, you are spellbound. You are pigeonholed into a very, very, very limited reality. Give you an example with a chat here this morning. A couple of people here had brought up the word resident and non-resident. I mean, in terms of the literal, people will have a look at it. Well, here, Mike, in your words, what would be your literal translation of being a resident or a non-resident?
Well, do I have to choose between one of those?
Well, with the literal one, just the way everybody would normally define resident or non-resident. Let's say if you're still stuck in the system.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say if you were still just stuck in the system, and just going along with the literal translations of everything, what would that mean to a typical everyday individual?
Well, if I was a resident, I live here.
Right.
I'm a non-resident, I don't.
Right. So that is a very limited definition of that word. And everyone accepts it as what it means, quite literally and quite actually, right? So let's have a look at it from a phonics position instead then. Let's take it from, and I'll go slowly on this. I have a tendency of going too quickly on this stuff. I've got my Mercury outboards on idle today, and I'm hoping to keep them there. I have to deliberately think that way in order to stop them from downloading. So, can be to do again. Side can be one side or the other. And, well, that means mind. It can also mean a tree in a book from Tolkien, the Ents, right? But that is the anagogic allegory of what the tree represents, the tree of life, the as above, so below, the branches that reach into the light for nourishment and the branches that reach into the dark for nourishment. You take either one away and you don't have a living tree. This is why things are as above in the light and as below in the dark, equal in balance in terms of the physical universe. So there we have to pick a side mind. That's one phonics translation. Now, is also the ancient name of what the Egyptians referred to as God. You've heard it referred to as Ra, but the correct spelling is R-E. Now, the difference, you think, well, what's the difference for that, Kate? Well, I'll tell you, that's the difference between yin and yang, right? A is a reversed 6, yin, and E is a reversed 9, yang. Now, 6 is the hex, or the hexagon, and the 9 is what is referred to as consciousness, or the ever-expanding consciousness. You see, the the yin or the 6, the hex, spins in. It's egocentric. Whereas the 9 spins out, which is spiritual creation, infinite. So there's the difference between Ra and Re. So Re can be referred to as light of God, or the sun, S-U-N, of God. If we take the allegorical from the Egyptian practice of observing Ra as the sun god, and that's what you are actually. The sun in the sky is your effect. You're the cause of that, not the effect of it. Okay? Side. Well, as already said, it could mean one side or the other. One face of a box, let's say. Front side or back side. It can also mean to kill. Genocide, homicide, infanticide, suicide. Okay? So now we have a different version, and of course, Ent is mind, and you can actually see mind contained within E-N-T. E, as already explained, is 9 in the mirror. It's also a 3 in the mirror, too, which is the Trinity. I'll give you lots of confirmations on this. The letter N means which is infinite and infinitely mine. It is a possessive letter in that anything it attaches to, it creates a bond, makes it yours. So E-N would be consciousness, mine. And that applies for me, it applies in every word. So I look for very specific things and to expand the word out. As I was saying last night, I can take the letter I and actually expose, just using sounds, Phoenician rules, the grammar rules that were so ingrained in us. I can use those very same rules against the words, right? If an E sounds like an E in one word and an I in another, then I can take that same I sound and place it in any word I want. Okay? So what we have now is Re, Side, Ent. Oh, the letter T, by the way, is also the Phoenician letter that is the circle with an X through it. And that symbol you've probably seen come up all over the place, and I've been referring to the quad nature of energy for a long time. It's the 4 aspects, the positive and negative masculine, the positive and negative feminine. You have all 4 parts within you. This is an energy game, magnetic electric. It's all about ME. It's all about me, magnetic electric. So let's have a look at resident again. You have the light of God to kill mind. So that's an external. You also have to do again, to kill the mind. And these are all interpretations based on sound. These are translations based on sound that you can say any word to me and I'll define it any way I want. And this is exactly the Magi Straits trickery within the courts. You will be owned. This is why you don't play with them. Unless you can play this game, and they will not play with you, I promise you, because as soon as you uncover this little leaf off of Adam, he's standing there a little bit naked. And they don't like that. But again, this is just a game. This is not a game of you're my enemy and I'm your enemy. No, well, I am your enemy. I am your no vengeance, nemesis. They are your enemy, no vengeance. And when you get into the 0 point and start observing it from this position, one of peace, not one of belligerence and war and all the rest of it, this is a game that we all get to play within ourselves. We are all individual points of consciousness. And the war is not outside of you. The war is within you. And how you are creating causes to get affected by. It's very, very simple. It's a simple process. If you walk up and punch somebody in the face, what are you expecting? A kiss? If you walk up and kiss somebody in the face, what are you expecting? Well, it depends on who it is, I suppose. A punch? And, if it's someone you know, probably not, right? I'm just trying to illustrate. We get all into left brain, scenarios, and Kate this and that. No, I'm not interested in that. That's squabbling, and I don't do that. So there's an example of resident, to re-kill the mind. So if you claim to be a resident, I can pronounce it resident. I'll do that in my mind. So if someone says, I ask you, are you a resident? And someone says, yes, I'm a resident. And let's say I'm a judge. I'll go, okay, good. They want to re-kill their mind, so I can do whatever I want now. They've asked me to kill them. That's why you have a presiding judge, right? It's already predetermined. It's predetermined, premeditated murder in the legal sense, right? But if somebody can be killed legally, i.e., tempted into using a legal name, that's an intention it's premeditated intention to murder somebody legally. And if a legal person can be a human being, then a human being can be a legal person. And if you kill the legal person, by definition, my interpretation of law, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, you have actually said that you want to kill me. That's premeditated murder with intent. And with the courts, it's all about proving intent via assumption and presumption, right? So if you assume the name, then you can assume the game. And you will make an ass out of intent and magnetic electric. It's the hex of SS with intent of magnetic electric. SS, you, me, assume. You start to see the layers, don't you? It gets really, really interesting really, really quick. But it's because we've been in such a hurry just to say words. There was a post on my Facebook page today, and I've seen it many times, where as long as you have the first and last letters in place, it doesn't matter what order the letters are inside the word, and you can read it quite easily, because the programs have been placed so deep. And it's a good example of people. I'll share it on my page as long as I can get there. Let me see if it's scrolled down too far. Yeah, I'll put it up later. But you guys have probably seen it. It's a fairly good paragraph, good length, and all the long words have the first and last letter in the right place, and all the other letter at the first and last are exactly the way they're supposed to be, and all the letters in the middle are jumbled. But you can still read the word because your mind is spellbound. It knows the sigils. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Hi, guys. Aloha, Mike. Kate, could you explain the significance of the I and the E being interchangeable? And in aspects of, like, you can say the word, but how we've been educated to write the word, certainly in the English language, those two letters seem to be cropping up to be interchangeable everywhere. So there must be some. From my perspective, I'm wanting to just left brain analyze why the I and the E's are they important?
Oh yeah, well here, you're probably familiar, and I'm going to show you a totally different meaning as to what everyone was taught with regards to spelling. I before E except after C. You've heard that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the self before consciousness, right? The I before E, except after unconditional love. The I would be the ego, the self, that you're putting before consciousness, except after C, the note of unconditional love. You will not get consciousness until you... it's a level of degrees. The more you move into unconditional love, no judgment, no vengeance, no enemies, that's what unconditional is. And you will not get to consciousness until you accept the unconditional love aspect. So let's listen to it again. I, self before consciousness, except after unconditional love. So what that tells me very clearly in a very simple thing, as I define it through my definitions of Phoenician, of sound, is the more I love unconditionally, the more more consciousness comes into play. So I and E are very, very interesting letters, and they're vowels. They are vows of intent, and you're not supposed to swear oaths or vows, right? So these are things that have to be kept in mind. The relevance of it is you can take either one of those letters. Trying to think of a word where, the I, great example. What's that?
Mystified?
Yeah, and well, the E is actually silent there, and it's used as a rule to make the I hard, as in the I sound versus the I sound, right?
Yeah.
For example, our dear friend Bindi, she's her tag is spelled Bindi, so it sounds like an E, Bind E, right? Also, the Y sounds like an E as well in that regard. So now the I becomes the E, becomes the Y. And Y can be spelled WHY, so now we've reclaimed the W and the H. And we also have the who, right? It keeps going, and it doesn't take long to fractalize one letter to every letter, which means that one letter can mean every word you've ever uttered in any language. This is the power of silence. And until you get your mind right, it's best to not say much, is it? Because you don't know what you're
So, Mark, Kate, me and Mark were having a conversation earlier.
Okay.
And Mark was sharing something about the Aborigines from Australia. Mark, will you share that about how the between the sounds are?
I guess this was leading on from last night, where I do apologise. Maybe my ego was starting to creep out, in as much as sometimes I do talk slowly. There are times I talk really fast. But ultimately, where I'm coming to the point now is that you have to slow down if you really want to find the intent within the words that the person is talking to you. And in that aspect, I kind of look at the spaces between the words and kind of what it's like the Aboriginals. They would actually use the space between the stars to travel. That they put more importance on the space between the stars than the stars.
Yeah, the silence.
The silence. I mean, we've all heard it. Silence is golden. Children should be heard, not seen. Which, for a lot of people, it is extremely hard.
Well,
myself included, because
that's
like
society,
everything,
though, Mark. That's the programming of society. That's not you. This is I've called it the drive-through mentality of society. Everybody wants everything in a hurry, and this is a deliberate thing. Here's one thing that I apply to myself: the higher the vibration and the faster everything is going, the slower I get to counter it, to keep me in a neutral zone. Because we can get caught up in the flow of life around us very, very easily. This is why literal conversations drive me batty. Because I said last night, for me, it's the stillness that matters. That's generally. I mean, I pick stuff up when I'm talking with people, obviously, but not to the degree when I'm in silence. That when I'm sitting writing, I'm perfectly silent and everything just pours out of me. Where I can't do that when I'm in a literal conversation with anybody. I can't. It's impossible. I can pick one or two things out of it, key words or whatever, that trigger with me. But you're absolutely right. You have to slow down. Everyone's in such a hurry. I mean, go out on the roads and you'll see it. Road rage. Get out of my way. I'm in a hurry to be somewhere exactly when I'm supposed to be there. It's like, and you could drive normally, and I'm going to be there exactly when I'm supposed to be. You see, all things are already written. I don't know why people are trying to think they can change the script. You can choose the script, you can't change it.
When you come out of the airport where I live, the airport is, well, small would be an understatement. The first sign you see, and it's a homemade sign, it says, "Slow down, you're on Molokai."
Perfect. It's one of the things I loved about Belfast. I mean, the pace of life there compared to here is so different. Here it's hustle, bustle, go, go, go. And there it's like, yeah, we'll get there. And, there's others that have adopted this very Western go attitude, of course, there. But it's still, it's still got that, all things in time, it's all good, relax. That's why there's so many pubs. They just like sitting around. And that is, to me, the best way to be. It's just get into the zones and don't get so wrapped up in what's going on around you, because you'll get caught in it. It's a fun game. Bill Hicks said it's got ups and downs and thrills and spills and chills and all the rest of it. And it's very brightly colored, and it's perfect. It's a perfect playground for kindergarten children. It really is.
Did you see that video, Kate? That they
you posted it. You mentioned it. I've got it in my computer. And I do watch it, the Big Electron. I do watch it on occasion. Yeah, it's great.
And the way he bends down on stage and he's got his hands up, and then that was very well done, put together of Bill Hicks and George Carlin. Just wow, the humor and the insight. Perfect.
Yeah. You see, and it's not. I'll take it to one more level. It's not a choice between love or fear. It is the contrast between love and fear. You see, because here's the thing. This is not an easy concept to explain to people. Hope is a good thing. Too much hope is a dangerous thing. And that applies both to the system and applies to you as well. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're in a system trying to control everything, and the people start getting all this hope, a little bit of hope is a good thing because people can be manipulated with it. But too much hope of overcoming the system to the system is a dangerous thing. And I'm going to show you why it's dangerous for you as well. You see, a little bit of hope is a good thing because that is easy to achieve, that outcome. And the more you're able to achieve your outcomes, the more hope you can actually have. Because what happens with more hope, less fear. Less hope, more fear. Thing is, if people get too much hope and they're not quite ready for that test, of course you are, but you may have the illusion that you're not, and something doesn't quite go to your expectations, then that can be a big letdown, which can take you down further than you were before you had that hope. So you've got to temper the balance of the love, hope, whatever you want to call it, and fear. I use fear as a checkpoint to temper where I'm at. It's a tool for me. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, I don't like fear." Fear is a beautiful tool. It's the only thing that can show you the contrast of hope. So, people want their cake, and they want to eat it too. It doesn't work that way. This is about getting into the center and understanding that when you have a little fear, and this is why I tell people to take baby steps. I took leaps and whatever because I had spent a lifetime getting used to fear just being me. So I was well conditioned to accept fear and put it aside and understand that, yeah, that's fear. I know what that is. It's not going to control me though. And now it's a tool. Instead of it, shaping and carving you, you're shaping and carving it. And for me, taking a little baby step, and I'll say this to everyone, taking a little baby step to a victory is a lot easier, and it'll make you feel better. It'll overcome that little fear you had so that you've got a new level of fear to play with, and it will be lesser. I don't even know how to explain this. Excuse me. But you've got to. The thing is, you have to overcome these little ones, and this is why I tell people don't pick the big ones if you don't think you can handle it. Just do that which you know you can handle, and there might be a little fear attached to it. Think back to when you were a kid, just before, let's say, exams or whatever the case may be. All right. Look at how much stress and tension was built up in you to perform because you wanted to look good in front of your other peers, the other places where the rest of the minds are parked, and that that could last for some people as soon as they start school the first day, they're already worrying about it. And that's a lot of fear. And it's conditioned and built into you. And the good part about it is you've already went through a lot of these things at a very early stage in your life to learn how to handle them. And fear doesn't change. It's the same. It's the same energy. It's just the only thing that changes around you are the scenarios that you have to confront it. So what happened, or like with me, what happened with me was those lengthy fears started getting shorter and shorter. And of course, the nature, as I said earlier, the nature of my being, I was in terror of myself, never mind anything outside of me. But that was mine, and only I could deal with that. That was mine to deal with. And very good for conditioning as well. So I'm very grateful for it. What I noticed was I was able to, as a result of this, overcome what would be perceived greater fears for others. But they weren't that big to me. They were still there, don't get me wrong. But I'd had a lot of fear training. And most people don't have that. And I will say it simply from the viewpoint of being trans. I was born with it. So that was my game plan. That's what I came in with. Might as well come in high, hard, and fast, right? Gemini, Mercury, double outboards. And as I said last night, I don't expect people to do what I did. I was designed for this. This is my role to play. And that's all I'm doing is playing my role and doing what I do the way I can do it. And you have your role, and everyone has theirs. It's when you're willing to step into that role is when things really start to move for you. And I've said before that the truth is a catch-22. You're going to have a bumpy ride once you stand in it because you're going to be tested. Fact. And if you don't stand in it, well, you're still going to be tested, and for a whole lot longer. It might not be as intense as standing in truth, but I assure you, by the end of a particular lifetime, if you will, you're going to have endured a lot more fear than someone who stands in the truth. And the difference being at the end of that lifetime or during that lifetime, whatever, one gets you your soul and the other one costs you it. There really is no easy way to put this. This is the nature of the game. This is the game that you chose. This is why we're here. This is consciousness playing a game of God, trying to not be God and see what it feels like. You're infinite. There's no question. That one, I know a lot of people still have a hard time with that. But you are infinite. There's no such thing as death. There is the illusion in the physical of a body drop. But I think for most people, it's not the fear of death. It's more the unknowing aspect, and that is, see, I can't even prove that death exists. I've seen it outside of me, but it wasn't me. So how can I prove that it's real? I can't, because I'm alive. So I don't bother with that question anymore. What makes me think that this body is going to die? Well, if I buy into the illusion outside of me that bodies die, then I'm agreeing with that reality, am I not? So I just don't agree with it. That's fine. It's all good. I'm here to play a game and grow. And what a game it is. I mean, guys, you're at the forefront right now of the most glorious shift ever. This is the game of games right now, and you are a chosen one. Think about it. 7.3 billion points of consciousness on this planet, out of all the infinite points of consciousness in the universe. And you're here. What are you doing with it? You got to be a star in your movie. You got to be a star in your own show. Everyone to me is a superstar. I only like superstars in my movie, my cast. And I very quickly move on from those that still wish to be extras. And that's okay. Need extras in the movie too. There's no judgment here. Everyone is equally valuable in the roles they're playing, because to me it's all reality. It's all consciousness. It's all movie. What I do is I choose to direct it instead. So is that kind of covered a bit?
Beautifully clarifying it Okay.
Okay. No, I just, I have to temper and gauge things with reflection, right? So there's a lot of things that I want to talk about that I just don't have the words yet. I know them, but there's no easy way to explain them. It's even trying to explain to people the whole aspect of Phoenician. I think the simplest way to put it is, if I can plant an intention or a thought in someone's mind, then I own it. I own your mind. So everything that is out there, literally, that you're existing in, are all thoughts. Now, the power of that's very, very easy to see. Excuse me. Do you remember you'd watch like last night? Prime example. A parking lot, underground parking lot scene, and on the wall was the letter C and the number 9. Now, everyday, typical, just watching the movie, people would just see that as, oh, that's somewhere to park, and that's the level of where the cars go, and blah, blah, blah. All literal, literal, literal. Whereas when I see it, I see, cool, it's a confirmation of unconditional love consciousness in my now. So it's different eyes and different interpretations based on how I choose to see it in my reality. Someone had posted in the room. Let me just share this. My answer was very simply this. Let me go to it. I think this illustrates. Where was it?
You want to read what? The Mystic Mechanic one?
Well, yeah, I don't even need to read that. I just want to read the response.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's just right in there, Kate.
Yeah, so you hear people, and I've heard it. I heard it yesterday. Well, what if you get pulled over? I'm thinking, well, that's not my reality. So here's what someone is really saying when they say this. What if I get pulled over equals I wish to get pulled over? Because it's in your reality. And that's the thing. All you have to do is just ask Jeannie. She'll grant every wish for you in your reality. Promise, it's a fact. If the thought is in your mind, it is in your reality.
Yeah, and this is what I was sharing about how this is a little like a trick, a loop to keep us imagining these kind of scenarios.
Yep. Are you going to keep buying into it? It's the only question. And the thing is, when you start saying, I can't even say I won't get pulled over because that's not even in my reality. Been there, I've done that scene. It's boring. Why would I want to keep playing the same script? That's a rerun. That's Gilligan's Island to me.
Yeah.
For me, I just simply accept all things as perfect, and my cab driver is taking me there. And isn't it funny? It popped up the movie Constantine last night, and Constantine was getting driven around by a cab. His cohort, the young guy that plays the main lead in Transformers, forget his name. Not into names anyway. But there it is, the yellow cab company, right? What have I been talking about? The cabs. Just let your cab driver take you. And here's the joy of it was Constantine never, ever told his cab driver where he was going. He just got in the cab and the cab pulled off. But I would never have noticed that before until I had that, the realization of using the Ka-B, which is the spirit of Christ consciousness, right, cab, last week. But there it is in plain sight, coming into my now, confirmation, that what we're doing is perfect. And that's what I see now are the confirmations of what we talk about. I don't have expectations. I don't. I just simply observe. I just look and confirm. Oh, there's a foreshadow. There's a foreshadow. And the trick of this, once you start seeing things this way, is you start to see the game play out exactly how you think it's going to play out. Because that's how you're thinking now. It's in your reality. You've changed your mind into thinking for yourself instead of letting something come at you where it's like the word I talked about earlier, resonant. If you see that on a piece of paper, that triggers a thought instantly. So for me, I just negate all of that as it comes in, and I only see that which I choose to see. Now, I talked about the word relationship last night. That's a beautiful one. Everyone wants to be in a relationship. not me. The literalists will be going, well, you don't want someone to be with you? And it's just, no, that's not the case at all. I'll tell you what the case is, though, is I'm not going to separate myself from the rest of consciousness by being a conduit that shuns the mind. Relay, shun, ship. You just got to sound it out a little differently, and you have to slow down to do that. So there's the, to do again, lay, to put something down, to lay a floor, to lay it on the table. So to re-put down, or to reaffirm, shun of the mind, relationship, based on the phonics. So let's have a look at it from a mirrored position. To relay love of the goddess mind, T-I-O-N. The T-I-O-N in a word that you see, like attention or relation or whatever the case may be, is spelled as well in the form of S-H-U-N. So how are you interpreting the letters? How are you interpreting the word? How are you slicing and dicing that to make the word work for you? Instead of taking the assumption and presumption that someone else has placed in that word that you will accept blindly if you accept it literally as it is defined, definition in one of their dict ion Aries. Oh yeah, they'll throw it into you. It's all about phallus in the masculine intent world, right? This is masculine, feminine, magnetic, electric game. That's why they put the obelisks everywhere. So yeah, dict, Io, mine, dict goddess, mine, in a state of war, Aries. That's the Roman version of the god of war. Mars is Aries. Now we also have Aries, which is the ram and the lamb of God in the zodiac. It's the highest point. It is the I am. Okay?
Okay, there's another layer to this.
Oh, there's many. Keep going.
and why they... Well, why they... I don't want to... Again, just me saying why they is part of the thing. It's to disempower ourselves. It's our game we played on ourselves, again, and not being God. And when you peel that layer back, what you were saying, see, it's I had it right there, right here. Let's see if I get it again. It was to, besides what the language was, it was to put you into a state of just accepting. Didn't matter what, just accepting. And I don't mean acceptance in a good way. I mean accepting without checking yourself, without putting it through your own filters, so to say, without owning it. It's like, okay, you said it, but I'm going to look at it and take it in and make it mine, so to say. So part of what the game was to get you to basically accept that blind faith that someone was sharing with you in earnest, and, well, that wasn't true, that isn't true, and so it was in a way to make us docile. So later on we'll accept work, I got to get to work, yeah, I need money, yeah. So it was kind of to put us in that, it was a spell, to put us in this state of just blindly receiving and accepting it. And then what it does is disempowers us from our own creative right brain, feminine, divine feminine side, which then imbalances our divine masculine, of course, and we split ourselves. But to rewind it again, so we bring this balance back in. We remember the balance and the wholeness, and it becomes clear again.
Yeah, you mentioned out of the gate there, they, right? Well, the ye, or the tree of life, the Y, right? Even they, you want to know that it's you. Here it is. That's the love, the note of love, or the crucifixion, the cross you bear, the T, H, which is the Trinity, E, which is consciousness, and Y, which is the question and the tree of life. So it's the love of creation of consciousness in the tree of life. That's who they are. So if you take it from the perspective that half of you are divided, and that the other side of you is the contrast with which you are able to play this game. Without this contrast, you don't have a game. So be grateful. This is what we're here to do, to be able to have that game. There are no enemies here. The only enemy that exists is the one that you choose to exist within you. That is your intent. If you put something or anything outside of yourself to be separate or opposite to you, there is only contrast. You went on something there too I wanted to expand on. I really want to nullify this whole enemy thing, right? Because if you're in that headspace, then you are caught in the chaos of duality. You've got to get singular.
Yep, you got to bring it down to the base.
Bring it home. Bring it to you. You are all creation. You are the magnetic electric. You are the universe contained in one vessel, one point of you, right? Which involves every point of you. Me, you, everything, everyone, everything in nature, all the animals. Everything speaks to you if you have the eyes and ears. And most people don't yet. They're there. I watch this come up every day, and it's quite something to see. You want to talk about bliss? It's an easy place to get to. I wanted to touch on another word. You're probably familiar with the word expired. Okay, well, let's have a look at that. I can take it in when something is expired. To me, I can look at it and define it as X pi red, or X to be of late. It can be the letter too, but let's just work of late. Your ex in a relationship. Had to figure that out, right? Okay, so means it's not part of you anymore. Pi, well, there's your 3.142857 to infinity. And red, of course, is emotion, which is Mars, which is Aries, which is conflict. Of course I'm expired. And that's when you look at things like driver's licenses as to why they want to... and remember who they is, that's me. I have to use that as a contrast just to give the illustration. So that part of us, they, puts expiration dates on things so that they're not permanently binding contracts. I'll tell you, like an example, once a license or a passport or anything of that nature is expired, the contract is removed willingly by the contrast of you. So that's how I accept it. Everything that I've ever had in this system, I assure you, is expired. And it is X pi red. Let's have a look at a few versions of it. X, let's make that the Greek letter chi. So the chi of pi in the light of God in the delta, which is delta mind, thought wave, the Trinity, the himself, herself, itself, letter D, which is the fourth letter of the Greek alphabet, and the fourth in the English as well. So now we have the life, what did I say? Key? Oh, sorry, the key to pi in the light of God in consciousness. So when things are expired, to me that is being set free because you've been given the key, right? I can go so many ways on these, letter by letter, to open it up. But as soon as I find something that resonates with me, sun, infinites with me, I accept that. I put the alternating current of God, AC, set, into it. That's all I do. I redefine the words D or de, phi, N. De, French for of, phi, sacred creation, N makes it mine, in consciousness, E. That's what I do. Of creation, mine in consciousness. That's how I define my reality. Now, you can, when you stand up to defy somebody, what are you doing? You're undoing their creation. And you're also saying it's of my creation. So there's conflict when you defy something. On both sides of that coin, you're polarized. So how about you make instead of going out to defy somebody, how about you come back and define within yourself what it is? And isn't it interesting that they're both the same effective sounds, and one of them makes it yours, and one of them keeps it outside of you, which will always keep conflict going. Defy or define? I choose to define. And when I redefine the words from their literal, original intent meanings, then I redefine my reality. A simple way to put this is like this. If you knew someone was a wizard and they could use every word that you utter to create their reality based on the wizard's interpretation, because they understand this, whose reality is going to get created, yours or the wizard's? This is what you are the wizard, the wise art. You have to climb to get there. And of course, wise, W-H-Y-S, you might have spelled it W-I-S-E. For me, there are no rules in any of the languages anymore where I can reapply. Once I break all of that, now I can reapply all the rules. Those who make the rules must obey the rules. So if the wizard can use that same word against me, once I understand how to use it, then I can use that against that. And I say against, as in the not gain version. I'm not interested. It's about regaining my own responsibility, to give my ability, or able I love, to give life back. That's what to be responds able. What you're doing is you're putting back into life the right hemisphere, the able, instead of walking crippled with the cane of the left field, right? And remember this, Cain will always plant everything that Cain gets handed. He's a very good gardener. And if you're constantly picking things out of the literal garbage can, called this reality, don't expect anything different. You got to get rid of that. You have to decide that, well, you know what, I'm going to use roses from Abel instead now. And you have to get into an unconditional love position. Now, I've take the word love. It just means the law of truth. Truth is the fundamental of all things. So I look for truth in everything. When we were talking about I am the witness, well, for me, that's a very simple statement. If you want to up it one, and I'm going to break it down so the intent is known, so that you know the intent of the spell that you're tossing out now with this version of the same sound. Now, I can say this one little sentence, and I'll tell you what most people will think it means literally. I am the sovereign witness. And people will say, well, I am, that's me, the, singular, sovereign, ruler, king, queen, witness, I saw that. That's the literal translation. That means shit if I'm defining your reality for you, because I can turn it around and spin it backwards. So here's the intent that I use contained within that line. I am the sovereign witness. I, the self, am. There is the A, which is the reversed hex. It's a 6 in the mirror. So it can be a hex or a reversed hex, so you decide which one you want it to be at any given point in a word, because it can work both ways in every word. But you got to work it so that it becomes the positive intent that you wish for. I'm hoping that's clear. You decide when the word works for you and no one else. Okay, so I, the self, am, reversed hex of the magnetic, M, the as above, mother, mater. So there's the I am. Of course, that's the Aries, the Lamb of God. It falls into that category as well. There are many things, but I just want to make it crystal clear that it is the I am, the all. Now we have the, which is theos, God, love of the Trinity, the H in consciousness. So it's loving all creation, literally. Okay, so I am. That's the state of being God, in love with all creation. Now sovereign. Here's the sovereign witness are the two that to me will really bring this home for you. Sovereign, right? Sovereign, which to me is so as into stitch. I stitch my own reality. Ver, truth, mine. Sovereign. So that is the sowing of my truth. Witness, wit to know, ness in the state of. So what I'm saying is I am God in love of all creation, sowing my truth in a state of knowing. I think that works a little better, don't you? So literally I am God sowing my truth, which is all truth, in a state of knowing. You cannot question that. That is the stance of God. I am the sovereign witness. Done. But you have to know from that intentful perspective. And Mrs. Doubtfire, she's going to come walking around all the time. She does with me, not quite as much now. But that's what I was talking about earlier. Because I accept all love and all fears, the fears are very tiny, so as soon as any of them enter my mind, whatever. I laugh. I negate it immediately because I know it's not reality. And I accept all things because my cab driver is driving me home. And that is the unconditional surrender of unconditional love, to let creation take you home. Or you can fight kicking and screaming and play lifetime after lifetime, and that's okay too. I accept all things. I'm not going to, try to convert anybody, with green love, right? Or with truth. Now look at that, vert, French, right? So that's truth in love. So there's the hidden meanings again within what the heart and green is. And you can use any language you want. Everything that you've ever come into contact with in terms of languages, you came into contact for a reason, because these are the tools that you can use when you start busting these things apart to make the word work exactly the way you want it to, so that you are now casting spells. Now, I talked about resident. How about a non-resident? I love these people that say, well, I'm a non-resident, I don't live here. So, okay, well, phonetically, you are a known, N-O-N. Can be pronounced known. You are a known resident. So I still own you. Because you don't have the other versions of the same word, because you're only accepting the literal translation or the literal interpretation based on one of the dictionaries that you didn't write. So I'm not going to base my reality on someone else's book. That's a book of the dead. I'm writing my own script. I'm writing my own book. And that's all I'm trying to share with people, to start writing your own books. Be your own author. This is when you become the author I love. The author I love. Authority. And people think authority. No. There are many, many ways to define authority. It's only when you get to this point that you start understanding that you are the author I love. There's A-U, gold. Thor. Well, we know what that hammer's all about. It's can either be a hammer of truth or a hammer of conflict. I, self, T, note of love, authority. There's many other ways to go through that as well. But remember, everything in the literal is it's just clues to the anagogic.
Thank you, Beautiful. I was going to ask you to break down authority about 5 minutes ago.
Got your wave.
How we reclaim our authority from keep giving it to our power or our authority instead of giving it away. And it's as you just said, write your own script. Be the author. Creating
your own realities is what's kind of hammering home at me at the moment. Is that beautifully said, Kate? I love it.
Well, it's what an author is. You cannot write the book for you if you're using the definitions of another.
Exactly.
So
you create
change the definitions.
You create your world. I mean, woohoo!
You know what I should do is take a lot of these fears that people have. What if I, those, and respell them. You see, here we have to reverse to reverse to reverse. It's 3 times the charm. So what we have to do, let's break it down so that makes sense. We have to reverse to go backwards. We have to go back. Or better yet, let's flip this over. This would be a lot clearer. We have to reverse. So I explained this the other day. It was one of those fleeting moments. Let's see if I can do it again. It's not an easy one. To reverse something is to rewrite it. Okay, so sorry, I'm just downloading to see what I can put this together easier, because it worked perfectly.
It's re-engineering.
Well, to reverse something is to, like reverse a song. You'll put a new verse in it, okay? Reverse, so the light of God, the Son of God, you, ver in truth of creation, say, himself, herself, itself. So there's the fundamental breakdown of reverse for me. Okay, so to reverse something, to turn it around, you have to reverse your story, write new verses in it, in reverse, in the light of truth of creation. Did I get it? Did that make sense? In order to turn things around, to reverse, you have to rewrite your song, put a new verse in it, change all your verses, reverse it, in the reverse, the light of God, of truth of creation. That's when you recapture the spells contained within the words, where the Wizard of Oz has told you that resident means it's somewhere you live. And if you believe it, the wizard owns your mind. I become the wizard by saying, oh, resident? Sorry, I will use all definitions in all creation to redefine that for myself, thank you. Where the sigils have no more power from you, and they will have the power back to me. So what I'm saying is I have no interest in re-killing my mind. Thank you very much. And I place only positive intents as far as my reality is concerned of the outcome I'm looking for, because in that lateral time shift to that timeline that I'm looking for, it already exists. I don't believe this, I know this. So I accept this. I put all my alternating current, my magnetic electric, masculine, feminine, in full gear. In 7, set, in the dark, sunset, of creation consciousness. That's why I accept all things. There's no conflict there.
So when we're saying, sometimes it can seem like a big task when we say you create your own reality, you're co-creating it. Well, it's like you just reminded us, is we've already co-created it, guys. We've already have this, if you want to say whatever you thought was the most intimate, home, heartfelt love space in existence, you've already done it, and we're just clearing our path back to it. And you got to create your own reality. Guys, really the first step of doing that is tuning into love and moving from there. That's it. And the whole world unrolls.
And love is law of law of it. That's why, and you've heard Santa talk about igneous rock. Well, that's exactly what comes out of volcanoes, which is known as lava. The law to go. So it's putting out physical reality. And this is where you get to be the creator of that. And I know this is a tough pill to swallow, right? It really is. what do you mean I can do this? Well, you've doubted yourself for a long time. We just came out of Pisces. That was the whole beauty of Pisces, is it takes a full-on God and takes it down to that zero level. And, let's have a look at creation. I mean, you hear people talking in the literal about reptilians. These people are reptilians. Well, see, here's the thing. Everyone on this planet has the remnants of the reptilian age called dinosaurs, right? It's called a reptilian brainstem. Now, if we go back to what a reptilian really is, that is, you have the completely passive herbivores and the completely aggressive carnivores. I mean, that was some pretty nasty time where it was dog eat dog. That's not a very good state of mind. That is complete conflict. So I see the allegory in the conflict of being a carnivore versus a totally passive herbivore. You've got to bring both of those together, and I don't mean in the you got to eat vegetables and meat. No, that's literal. What I'm talking about is bringing the masculine intent and the feminine creative nurture into balance, right? This is a balancing act. You're all walking a tightrope. And it doesn't take much to slip off that tightrope, I assure you. One emotion can do it. This is why, for me, I will not get baited into emotional conversations. I just walk away now. I just change my mind, you see. I write my own script. And I will write my own script based on the words as I define them, based on the infinite possibilities that they can be. And once you just get that notion, that is the concept. That is the with God. Now you are taking all of the power out of the spell, balancing it out with pure intent in the law of love, or law of truth, which is law of love, and moving forward. This is why I look for truth in everything. I look for anything that can make the ve sound. Or verily, very, everywhere, right? So I look for these things because they're components within words that can be misconstrued and messed around with. That's the whole thing about trickery and phonics, right? So I know this may sound like it's a very complicated thing, but it's not. That's the difficult part about it. It is so simple. It's damn near impossible to explain.
Okay, so we'll do it with some humor.
Sure. I'm in.
I was listening to the show the other night when Barbara came back on. Hey, Barbara, if you're listening, call in. Let's see where I wrote this down. Something she was sharing. Oh, yeah. And she was talking about there was no J before the 1700s or something. So she's like, so I'm paraphrasing here. So she's like, well, it just ain't easy, when you're always brought up in the name of Jesus and you realize there's no J. There was no J. So who is this Jesus character? And so I'm laughing here. She goes, well, should I say in the name of Charlie or Ralph?
Exactly. To me, they're all clues. I do not take anything literally. It's like I see things like je suis, which is I under.
Oh, I under.
Or you can put the I of self back into Jesus and to become the I am. Then you put it wherever you want. I just happen to put it after the you. Right. So now it becomes the je suis. These are just clues. There is nothing that needs or should be taken literally here at all. They are all allegoric, anagogic clues. And people are spellbound by everything.
Yeah.
So
I just thought it was so apropos because Janet chimed right in. As you like, you're God also. And then I'm thinking like, yeah, it could be Charlie and Ralph because Kate was just reminding us about how you can take any word letter and turn it into another one. So Ralph, Jesus, what's the difference on one level?
Thank you. That just proves the whole point of literal. If you take it literal, you're spellbound. Now recreate it in your image. You see, the whole idea of the Bible was, and God created man in our likeness, after our image. Sorry, I'll redefine my authorship here. And it is that simple. It is about knowing, just knowing that every word has whatever you want it to mean. So now you're left with only one thing and one thing only. Pure intent, which is in 10, which is 10, which is IO, in goddess love. That's unconditional love. That's what intent is. They're all just clues to me, and I can take those and shape them any way I want, because I write my reality. RITE, my reality, the light of God, of all I love, unconditional.
So, Kate,
then you're home.
I got a name for this past that football game that happened in America. Super Bowl Stun Day.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, super, under, by, I've got to work a negative on the sun.
So I like that.
Under me,
yeah.
SU. Okay, let's go Sue, which in French is under. And also create sub, right? So under, my under day, right? Under me day. So yeah, again, I'll take any positive word and turn it negative, and any negative word and turn it positive. So what is really happening here? The balance has to be contained within you. You decide how you define every sound you create and hear as to your intent.
So if you put a T instead of super, it's stupor. Instead of sun, it's stun. It's kind of showing you the opposite. And it's like you're putting the love, like you said, into it, and it's showing you the reflection of what's actually happening to you. And you're going into a stupor and getting stunned by the television. And take a breath and enjoy.
Well, look at the word. Here's an example, right? We call things like that entertainment, right? All right, so let's go. Does everyone like to be detained?
Oh, no.
Or retained?
Yeah, thanks. Tane, yes.
You see, this is what I did with words very early on. This is going back a few years. Is I would look for things like that inside words. You know, like object, inject, subject. And following the etymology trail, I found that ject means jet or jet black. So it's the void, creation, right? So when you object, it means you're going to darkness, to creation, right? I want my creation heard. But you see, you can also have an objection. Objection. What are you saying?
Objection, ejection, erection. Get your ego back in line.
Exactly. Here, I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun here. So let me play. I wanted to really start playing around with the words for people so they can start busting the spells themselves, to break themselves free of the literal definitions that everyone has been so carefully programmed with. And it's a perfect program because it's the very language we use to convey our thoughts. Right? If we're conveying thought with language, what the hell are we doing? Well, every thought is a wish. Every wish is granted. But who are you granting the wishes for? You or the other side of you? We call them they. They are you. Make no mistake. And I will often, laugh at some posts regarding, new cagers that are talking about the all and the be and the do and the have and the love and and then they start talking about bastard bankers and bastard this and that and the other and what part of all did you miss, right? Now, an awl is a tool to carve out a dugout boat or a ship. You better start digging your ship out. if you want to be part of the all. You better take all this shit out so that your boat not only can float. I mean, a log will float, but it's very difficult to sit on a log because it wants to keep rolling. So you've got to kind of shape it. You got to shape your mind, shape your ship by using the all to do it. That's consciousness. This game is a lot of fun when you start getting over the emotions of it. And you will not... Yeah, go ahead.
No. Sorry, carry on.
No, I'm good.
I mean, it's like, I don't know who said it the other day, whether it was Santos, who said something along the lines of, you see the sign up there, but the sign's not actually talking to you.
Yeah, I brought this up many times.
Which is, yeah.
What does here? Let me expand on what you're going to say, because I can hear it already. What does the sign say? Now, people will think that's a verbal. No, say is Latin for himself, herself, itself. It means to create. What is the sign creating? Well, it's creating nothing but a reaction. It's creating a reaction through spells. That you accepted a word shape that looks like S, a T, an O, and a P, and you equate that to stop. But the sign created that. It didn't say it. Well, it did say it. But it said it in silence. That's why silence is golden and why you need to spell it out for them. And with this understanding, when you are writing anything now, and why I write so much, it is my pure intent going into everything I write. Not someone else's definition, because only I can define my writing as per my rules, in my reality. It's got nothing to do with anything outside of magnetic electric me. Welcome home, God. It is that simple. Cool, huh?
Yes, that is spot on. Spot on.
Oh, by the way, tane means thin tin plate for mirrors. Oh, really? Let's have a look at that. Entertainment again. Well, enter means to go in. The mirror, mind. Detain, of mirror. Oh, let me see. Cause, effect. Oh, I see. I caused that, so I'm living in the mirror. So isn't it interesting that it's a thin tin plate for mirrors? 1858, from French, tane, or tinfoil. Yeah, put on a tinfoil hat indeed. An alteration of attain, or tin, from Latin, stagnum. Stannum. This is an early one, because I looked up stannum years ago. Anyway, because that was an early on connection with a lot of things. So there is from Latin stagnum. When something is stagnant, my stag meant stag. Well, that is the masculine deer. So that is a masculine. If you're caught in the masculine intent, your mind is trapped. This is why the system that we created so beautifully to enslave and entrap ourselves to get our way out, it's a great game. Think about it. Perfect game. Why the left brain is so heavily Cain just sat there and he's going, look at all these seeds. Holy shit, look at the crop I can grow. And it's all shit. He's got ragweed, poison ivy, poison oak, thorn bushes, you name it. And that's what the system does. It throws all of this, nettles, everything that you can imagine, and they're all beautiful things. But all things in nature are good, and they have a very good purpose. They're there to entangle you, to entangle your mind. So let's talk about entertainment. So enter the mirror of the mind. Detainment, right? Of the mirror of the mind, or not of the mirror of the mind. Detainment or detainment. So, if someone asks you about a word, oh, did you say detain or detain? What is your intent? in your sound. And most people say, oh, detain. Oh, okay, so you want to undo the mirror.
Okay, there's some things that just have, like you're saying, they're having a canceling effect. It's like we're trying to be love and give love, and then we do something that just cancels it out or negates it from the beginning because we never got to that cleared something else, like our belief in money. Believe me, you really want to change this world with love, you got to change your belief in money.
Right. Because well, here, Mike, let's just stay right on this track, okay? I'm going to continue this because I'm not done with Tane yet. I'm going to show you how thorough I am with this shit. I don't leave any stone unturned, you know. They didn't do that's what the Romans did to Carthage. So what I'm doing to Rome is the same shit. I'm not leaving any stones unturned here.
Yes. I'm
Carthaginian, Phoenician, of the purple, of the red-blue united. So there's a little bit of payback for the Roman, okay? So let's carry on with it. From Latin stagnum or stanum. Now stanum's a very interesting word. And this is, here I've gone full circle. This was one of the very first things I got into with serious etymology and wordplay. Stanum, which means an alloy, and I'm going to break this down for you, so we're going to go even deeper. It's an alloy of silver and lead, in late Latin, tin. See stannic. You might be familiar with stannic acid, which is contained in tea, tannic acid. Tea, the note of love, which is the balance between silver and lead. Now, let's take silver. Why is silver to mean truth? For the astute, you'll already know why. It is the spiritual intent of truth. Psi el ver. And lead? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't get lead anywhere. I lead myself. So that's the difference between silver and lead. Are you the spirit with intent of truth, or are you following someone else's bullshit? And chances are the latter is more true than the former. I chose silver. There's a very specific reason why silver, I was so into it at one point. I was gathering up all the truth I could find in the physical sense. But I look at it anagogically now. And all of that truth had to be dispersed. And it was. I have one of the things that I love to say is this. I have given away more silver in my life than most people will ever see in a lifetime. That feels good to say from the anagogic perspective. What I was doing in the physical, making my actions known, ignorant at the time of it, but very aware of it now, was handing out as much truth as I could get out there. That was a physical, anagogic proof of my intent. An alloy of silver and lead. Oh, what's an alloy? Well, an alloy is a mixture. So you have a different understanding of what the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz was all about, don't you? And what did the Tin Man have to get? He was missing one thing. He didn't have a heart. He was at war between silver and lead. It was well indicated because he wielded an axe. He was empty and hollow. And the only thing that froze him up was what? Water. It rusted him solid. And what is water? Water is truth. Any mystic ancient will tell you what water represents. So you start to see the layer upon layer upon layer of proofs of the exact same thing that we all talk about all the time here. I just go through the process now of showing people where all of these things just expand, and you start seeing the common thread. One thing leads to another, and it's all saying the same thing. And it is all about the imbalance of the magnetic and the electric. It all comes back to me. You are the core, the heart of the universe. Core. We are now in the core age.
Totally. I love this. Core. The core edge. That's beautiful. The heart of the matter. The heart of the spirit.
Exactly. So there's a little breakdown on one part of one word, Cain. So what does the word really mean now? It means a whole lot more than you were aware of, does it not? It's not just the literal, well, let's go get some entertainment. People think that's just to go and have a good time. But now you know a little bit more about what you're actually spelling out for yourself by agreeing with it just being a little bit of fun. Well, the trap is a whole lot of fun. Just not aware of how deep the trap is.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the letter. It was kind of entrainment.
Well, yeah, but that's, again, there's tain with spirit breath contained within it.
Right. So, again, it's choose the entertainment or the entrainment you want from your...
here's a question, Mike.
And you're golden.
Here's a question for you. Can the letter R be silent in a word?
Oh. Yeah, I guess so.
Yes, it can. Well, it depends on which language. You can use any language you want, remember?
Yeah.
In French, the R is mostly silent. Lever. Lever. So let's make the R silent and put the silent R in tain. I can spell train, T-R-A-I-N, tain. The R is silent.
Right. And again,
go ahead. Go ahead, guys.
Isn't it amazing how you totally redefine the word? The word.
Well, yeah. Again, word is war. You can also go W-O-R, which can sound like war, D, of the delta, the war of the delta, the mind. At the end of every river going into an outlet, you have the Nile Delta, which is an expansive number of riverlets that goes out. So the as above is the Nile Delta, the as below is the Mississippi Delta. Everything is a fractal in the physical. Everything physical is merely a mirror of the spiritual. The physical is the effect. The spiritual is the cause. What are you doing to cause a physical change? Phi Psi Kul, which is a creation of spirit harvest. That's what physical is. The intent is being put out, and what we have around us is the harvest of that. And if you stay physical, then you are the harvest. I choose to be spiritual. That's all. But isn't it fun when you really start to dig into these things to redefine your reality by redefining the words or the war in your mind, the delta, the waters of truth? When you start to redefine them for you, well, here's a question. How many aha moments have you guys had?
Ooh,
couple?
Tonight?
Yeah, right now. Have you had a couple?
Oh, I mean, it's make it what you will.
Thank you.
Be careful what you wish for.
Make it what you will. What you put your will and intent into. Again, you can change the intensity of the intent in a word by deciding how you're going to use that word. It's not a war of the delta anymore. You're in command of the language.
Exactly, and this is, where you've used before, Kate, and you can take this to as many levels as you want, but take control of that ship. Be the master and commander.
Bingo.
Don't allow somebody else's thought to control your mind. Whose mind? Your mind? My mind?
Yeah.
Reality, people.
Let's play further. I'll show you what now there's a word here that's highlighted that I can go to that is part of tain, which is stanic. That's the Latin tin. See, stanic. Remember, Latin came after Phoenician. It's based in Greek and Phoenician. Phoenicians created the alphabet. Okay, the Romans fucked with it. The intent was changed. So here we go. Stanic is an adjective. adjective. Well, I can put a apostrophe or a comma anywhere I want. I can do whatever I want to separate words. Like, you see, here's the thing. I cast my own spells. I put in whatever I want to be in the word to make sure that whether they get the intention or not is irrelevant. But the fact that it's read, I've now spellbound them. Anyone that reads any of the stuff that I've written has had a new spell cast upon them with an entirely benevolent intent. Cool, huh? So here's stanic, adjective, containing tin from 1790, from modern Latin stanum, from late Latin stanum or tin, earlier an alloy of silver and lead. A scribal alteration of Latin stagnum. Yeah, you want to get stagnated and be entertained, right? Probably from a Celtic source, Irish stan. Now, how many times have I talked about clausula rebus sic stantibus? This gets funnier and funnier. Irish stan means tin, Cornish and Breton sten, Welsh istain. The Latin word is the source of Italian stagno, French etane, and Spanish estano, or tin. For me, looking at what I'm looking at right now and where all of my threads went, in the twinkling of an eye, connected a whole bunch of things. Because my mind is open, my RAM is clean. All things in, all things out. Just like that. I don't own thoughts, I transmute them. I go across to silence them. And that's what I'm doing with the words, is I'm transmuting the words. I'm silencing the spell. The reverse of the reverse of the reverse. Click your heels together 3 times, Dorothy. You had the answer within you all along. So I think I'm going to go back a little bit later today and break down clausula rebus sic stantibus, which is the escape clause. Imagine that. Isn't that funny? Or the SKP clause. Oh, it goes further and deeper and lots more fun. But let's just keep it simple. So you've got a different understanding of what the Tin Man is. You already knew what the Scarecrow was. And the last thing that people have to find is their heart. Isn't it funny that the Tin Man was looking for his heart, yet it was the lion that was really looking for it. He was looking for the Kur age, or the Kur of AG in consciousness, the heart of silver in consciousness, AG, symbol for silver. So let's go even further. What you're looking for is the heart of the spirit intent of truth in consciousness. That's what courage is, to me. And that's what I'm looking for. That is exactly what I'm looking for. This is why you must have courage, or you will never find it. You just merely accept it. Accept all things. When you accept all things as being perfect, there is no fear left. Mrs. Doubtfire will pop through on occasion, but I kick her sorry ass out every time because I know that's just program. As soon as anything comes, program, and it literally blows up in my head. What if the program? You have to entertain yourself. You've got to enter your own mirror within. You have to decide whether you're going to be led by another intention of fear. Well, if you don't have a license, you're going to get pulled over and all the rest of that nonsense that children love to play. Or you can decide to just be the spirit with intent of truth, the silver. But without the lead or being led, or you don't have the contrast. So that's where you turn lead into lead. Now, what is a lead? Well, a lead is like an electrical lead. Right? Go get me a lead. I have to plug something in. We don't use that term in North America too often. That's more of a UK term as far as I remember. You know, get some leads. We have to jump the car, right? Or, boost the battery, whatever. All right, so what that's saying is when you lead, what you're doing is putting out your intent, the tentacles of your intent. And they only go infinite. You don't have to worry about anything in terms of space or time. As soon as it is created within you, it's created within all. That's why when I was asking you guys, did you have any epiphanies? Did you have any little aha moments? Because then I know that consciousness is getting it and 2, I get a confirmation of I'm getting it. So I'm entertained as well. It's pretty neat, eh? It's funny, you know. I keep telling people, how funny is it? Let's hide this really cool trick, this really cool matrix, patrix, nutrix in a tranny. That'd be hilarious. What an absolutely hilarious role to play. It's beyond a joke. Go ahead.
I liked how Barbara yesterday, instead of saying sex or intercourse, she said penetration type activity.
Barbara rocks. Now look at the word. Did I break sex down the other night? It's really easy. Say key. Right? Say creation or X, which is IO 10, Roman numeral 10. I use all the Roman shit against them. It's all good. So what you're saying is say IO, which is saying creation. It's creation of creation. That's what sex is. It's a creation of creation. Of creation, of creation, of creation. All it's saying is it's an ongoing creational process. Say is creation, IO is creation. What it is infinity upon itself. It is the 8 times 8, which is 64. Might give you an idea of the clues that we leave ourselves in things like, Masonic chessboards and shit like that. Oh, wait a minute. Everyone's entertained. They're going, oh, they're the Illuminati. They're the evil. They're this. No, they're not. Everything here is just a fucking clue. And as soon as you pull up your big girl panties and big boy manties and go, I'm going to have a look instead of having a fight, you'll be okay. I promise.
Hey, there's this beautiful quote, and we've been talking about this, and this may be my paraphrasing or reality. We talk about reality and illusion. But here's one and kind of sums it up. And this is the where we're at. Reality is that which when you stop believing in it, doesn't go away.
Hit me with that again.
Reality is that which when you stop believing in it, it doesn't go away. You can not believe in nature all you want, but it ain't going anywhere. Nature doesn't go away. That's why we can say that's reality.
Well, see here. Let me go deeper on that, Michael, because see, that's not a contract I can accept.
Okay.
I will accept all things. What we have in terms of nature is one reality.
Right. Okay. Clear.
Right. So what makes people think that this is the only reality there is? I'm sure we've been a bit more creative on other planets with different colors and different shapes and different forms of the fractals of the phi ratio. We have an interpretation of what our nature is here. It's a very green planet, very blue planet, right? I'm sure there's very purple planets and very orange planets and so I don't limit myself to what I see.
Yeah, again, we got to break down that word nature. And so when I kind of think of it, I look at true nature. I come back to the core. I come back to the heart. So that's what nature is reflecting to me. So in that way, for me, it's reality. And because I don't have to believe in it, I know it. I feel it. And so this is kind of what we're getting at. Beliefs can fall away. And they will.
Well, look at the word nature. Let's phonic play with it. That's not yours. Nature's or not yours?
Pass the nachos.
Right, nacho chips, baby. Those are nacho chips. Okay, so sound defines the reality, not the words. And certainly not the poisons of every reality we create. And I call them poisons in a good and bad way because they're both. I've often called the light the poison and the dark the cure. And look at silver and lead. Silver is used, here's another example of it. People can get killed with lead poisoning, yes or no? Yes, they can. And typically at 9 millimeter at high velocity is the normal way that some parts of our consciousness like to play this game, which is quite silly. Personally, that's a parabellum, right? Para, so there's the the hex, right? Par ra, by ra, bellum, which is, bellum means war. Isn't that interesting? Bell means war. So that gives you a whole new understanding of what the Liber T Bell is all about. Liber? You ever heard of Liber laws? Oh, that's right. So it's money. Money, love, war. That's what your Liberty Bell translates into. But you thought it was something that Ben Franklin got together and there's a little cracks on the 50-cent piece and it's cracked. And you see, that's literal. I don't live there. I live in the anagogic. I look for everything within everything within everything. I go fractal on everything. And then I see what's really going on. Then I choose which reality I want to have. So I don't accept anything that I've ever had to learn in this life. I only accept the things that I choose to accept as I want to recreate a new one, as in KNEW. We're here to remember, not forget. And look at the word forget. What does forget mean? Well, for, to go for something and get. That's a very physical sort of thing to me, right? For, F-O-R-E, it would probably be more accurate, F-O-R-E-G-E-T. For, which means ahead of getting. So that makes more sense in a spelling way versus a phonics way to translate that properly, where for means ahead of something to get. So you don't have it with you, so to go get it, it's ahead of you. But you think it's behind you. Isn't that funny? I forgot something. I left something behind. I forgot something. I left it behind, which means you're going ahead to get it, because you have to bring it into a new unit of now. You see the parallel there? You see the singularity of that? You have to go ahead to get something from behind. Isn't that stupid? Isn't that perfect? It's freaking awesome. I have so much fun with this. I really do. Wow, we're almost out of time, I think. Shit, we are. It's like 2:39. I just looked down. This couple of hours went quick, didn't it? So I've got to do a little shout out here, guys. Paul, I couldn't find that promo thing. I did try to upload it, but it didn't work. Net got interrupted here. But just a quick shout out for Critical Mass Radio here. Paul Giovanni and the crew at Critical Mass. Radio.co.uk, or as everyone in the UK likes to say, criticalmassradio.co.uk. Yeah, please stop by and subscribe. Many options there. You can subscribe to the site for free, or if you wish, you can get really, really extravagant and donate £1, £2, or £3 a month. Yeah, the truth is really hardcore expensive with us. It's free, or if you want to, it's up to you. You see, for me, I accept all things because all things are, in fact, perfect. There are no mistakes. Mistakes? No. The mistake is the movie scene that you don't watch. That's the only mistake there is. I just choose to watch the whole movie now, that's all. And it's way more entertaining. Promise. The mirror in that one is wow, because you get to actually see yourself for the first time. And don't be afraid of you, because when you really start seeing you, you'll fall in love all over again. Promise. You're perfect, I know that. This is why I love people. I'll make a comment or something from the completely benevolent position of trying to make them right, and they beat me up for it. It's freaking funny as hell. I'm trying to make you right. Is that okay? Oh, no, I Okay. Just leave it at that. But anyway, so any final comments from you guys? We got about 4 minutes until we roll out of here.
No, but that one makes me laugh. I've had that experience. I'm like, no, I'm actually, agreeing with you and elaborating on it. And, I guess that's not what you really meant.
Meant? Mind? That's not what you mind. Meant? Same word. Spirit, mind, all, meant, ent, ship, hood, sigh. Oh, when you start seeing God in everything, which I do, you start seeing the true beauty of our creation. And this is our creation. We're playing with it. This is our game grid at this particular level that everyone chose to be here at, so stop crying and whining. This is the game of games, boys and girls. This is the Hunger Games of the universe, and if but one shall awaken, that's all it takes. Only takes one. So accept yourself as perfect. I do. I won't accept all the things that you want to do, but that's your choice. I will accept all the things I want to do. I just have to sort me out, and that's what I'm doing. The more benevolent, the more resilient and hardcore that I stand in truth. And you guys know me, I'm a bitch about it. I don't pull any punches. The better it is for me, and if it's better for me, then it must be better for all. So don't worry, I'll take a chainsaw to me every day, and I'm okay with that because I know once I get rid of the garbage, I am prepared, not prepared. Oh, explained. A paring knife? That's where you peel things, get rid of all of the garbage, right? Or paired, P-A-I-R-E-D. So you're either prepared or you're prepared. So choose which side of prepared you want to be. Pretty simple. In the meantime, like I said, I'll take the chainsaw to me, and I'm good with that. So there you go. Well, Mike, Mark, thank you guys so much. Hopefully you guys will jump in tonight. We're back at the table at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, which is midnight Greenwich Mean Time, which is approximately a little over 4 hours from now. Look forward to chatting with you guys and everybody else, as always, at criticalmassradio.co.uk. You can go to the site, I believe it's blogtalkradio.com/Critical Mass Radio online. But I post the links in Facebook and Skype and what have you. So I always appreciate when people pass the links around, so thank you very much for that. And thank you to all those that have been helping me out to stay in this game. As the universe intends, I accept. And thank you for that. So any final thoughts from you guys?
I think there's been a few aha moments out there, and I thank you for that, Kate.
Oh, my pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Me too. I love having I love having aha moments. Here, I'm just going to double check to make sure that. Paul just tagged me. That's why I was checking. First audio top of the studio. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do that now then to close out the show. Perfect. Let me see.
Wholeness and balance vibrations. Oh man, you are it.
Okay, I'm not seeing it on the top of the studio, Paul. One I see is the 4-second jingle. Okay, first audio. I don't have it, but I'll make sure for the next one. It's a really cool jingle, Paul. I will say that. It's 1 minute and 16 seconds long, and that's what I was looking for to see if it was in here. Let me just scroll down. I do want to play this. It's really good. No, it just puts it so concisely and perfectly, and it's wide open. Again, I look for the intention and the feel within things. No, I'm not seeing it. So, okay, sorry.
Okay. That intention and feel is so important.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go. Paul got it. Thanks, Paul. I knew if I held on long enough, he'd hit it. I'll just say goodbye to everyone now, and I'll roll out after this jingle. Much love to everybody. Catch you in a few hours.
Much love. Much love.
Their walls are falling. The momentum is now with us. It's our time now. At the most pivotal point in history is Critical Mass Radio, 24/7 Truth Radio. Help us to help you. Please go to www.criticalmassradio.co.uk and subscribe £1, £2 or £3 a month. The critical mass has been reached. We must come together. We must stand together for ourselves, for each other, for our future generations. criticalmassradio.co.uk. Now, it's our turn. You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Don't forget to stay tuned for Ben coming up next. Much love to everybody. Take care. We'll talk to you in a few hours. Have a great one. Okay, that's kind of weird. Not sure if I'm actually being heard right now. I couldn't hear the jingle. I could hear the song, but I couldn't hear the jingle. So let me get Mike's microphone opened up here first, and that way I can double check to make sure that we're going here. Okay, it's having a bit of trouble, so there you go. Well, welcome to Outside the Box. I'll just continue on as if everything is normal. And your host, Kate of Gaia, and of course, Ninja is hopefully able to jump in the call here. I just, I've got the phone ringing on her end, so let me see. Okay, thanks, Paul. Good. Yeah, you gotta love those shows. You start off, you're not sure if you're actually talking to yourself or talking to the universe. Well, you're talking to the universe when you talk to yourself. A little date on, I think it was Aristotle said the quote. What's the quote? I think, therefore I am. A slight correction there. I am, therefore I think. It has to be a singularity, you see. So that's what I do. Oh, let me try that again for you, Michael, and we'll get you in here. Okay, Mike, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, beautiful, Kate. Aloha.
Aloha. So there we go. What a day, what a day, what a day. Ruby Tuesday. Thanks, Sean. That was a beautiful moment of now to confirm a few things. That's the thing, is I love looking at everything and how quickly the reality shifts. There was interesting post in Skype from Mystic, and I think I want to touch on this a little bit today, as well as Phoenicians, in terms of sound and how things can get misconstrued by anybody that is going to interpret your sound or your law for you. If you're using literal definitions, you are spellbound. You are pigeonholed into a very, very, very limited reality. Give you an example. With a chat here this morning, a couple of people here had brought up the word resident and non-resident. I mean, in terms of the literal, people will have a look at it. Well, here, Mike, in your words, what would be your literal translation of being a resident or a non-resident?
Oh, do I have
an X through it? And that symbol you've probably seen come up all over the place, and I've been referring to the quad nature of energy for a long time. It's the four aspects: the positive and negative masculine, the positive and negative feminine. You have all four parts within you. This is an energy game, magnetic electric. It's all about ME. It's all about me, magnetic electric. So let's have a look at resident again. You have the light of God to kill mind. So that's an external. You also have to do again, to kill the mind. And these are all interpretations based on sound. These are translations based on sound that you can say any word to me and I'll define it any way I want. And this is exactly the Magi Straits trickery within the courts. You will be owned. This is why you don't play with them. Unless you can play this game, and they will not play with you, I promise you, because as soon as you uncover this little leaf off of Adam, he's standing there a little bit naked. And they don't like that. But again, this is just a game. This is not a game of you're my enemy and I'm your enemy. No, well, I am your enemy. I am your no vengeance, nemesis. They are your enemy, no vengeance. And when you get into the 0 point and start observing it from this position, one of peace, not one of belligerence and war and all the rest of it, this is a game that we all get to play within ourselves. We are all individual points of consciousness. And the war is not outside of you. The war is within you. And how you are creating causes to get affected by. It's very, very simple. It's a simple process. If you walk up and punch somebody in the face, what are you expecting? A kiss? If you walk up and kiss somebody in the face, what are you expecting? Well, it depends on who it is, I suppose. A punch? And, if it's someone you know, probably not, right? I'm just trying to illustrate. We get all into left brain, scenarios and, Kate, this and that. No, I'm not interested in that. That's squabbling, and I don't do that. So there's an example of recitant, to re-kill the mind. So if you claim to be
to choose between one of those,
with the literal one, just the way everybody would normally define resident or non-resident. Let's say if you're still stuck in the system.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say if you were still just stuck in the system, and just going along with the literal translations of everything, what would that mean to a typical everyday individual?
Well, if I was a resident, I live here.
Right.
I'm a non-resident, I don't.
Right. So that is a very limited definition of that word. And everyone accepts it as what it means, quite literally and quite actually, right? So let's have a look at it from a phonics position instead then. Let's take it from, and I'll go slowly on this. I have a tendency of going too quickly on this stuff. I've got my Mercury outboards on idle today, and I'm hoping to keep them there. I have to deliberately think that way in order to stop them from downloading. So can be to do again. Side can be one side or the other. And, that means mind. Can also mean a tree in a book from Tolkien, the Ents, right? But that is the anagogic allegory of what the tree represents, the tree of life, the as above, so below, the branches that reach into the light for nourishment and the branches that reach into the dark for nourishment. You take either one away and you don't have a living tree. This is why things are as above in the light and as below in the dark, equal in balance in terms of the physical universe. So there we have to re-pick a side mind. That's one phonics translation. Now, Re is also the ancient name of what the Egyptians refer to as God. You've heard it referred to as Ra, but the correct spelling is R-E. Now, the difference, you think, what's the difference for that, Kate? Well, I'll tell you. That's the difference between yin and yang, right? A is a reversed 6, yin, and E is a reversed 9, yang. Now, 6 is the hex, or the hexagon, and the 9 is what is referred to as consciousness, or the ever-expanding consciousness. You see, a resident, I can pronounce it resident. I'll do that in my mind. So someone said, I ask you, are you a resident? And someone says, yes, I'm a resident. And let's say I'm a judge. I'll go, okay, good. They want to re-kill their mind, so I can do whatever I want now. They've asked me to kill them. That's why you have a pre-side-ing judge, right? It's already predetermined. It's predetermined, premeditated murder in the legal sense, right? But if somebody can be killed legally, i.e., tempted into using a legal name, that's an intention it's premeditated intention to murder somebody legally. And if a legal person can be a human being, then a human being can be a legal person. And if you kill the legal person, by definition, my interpretation of law, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, you have actually said that you want to kill me. That's premeditated murder with intent. And with the courts, it's all about proving intent via assumption and presumption, right? So if you assume the name, then you can assume the game. And you will make an ass out of intent and magnetic electric. It's the hex of SS with intent of magnetic electric. SS, you, me, assume. You start to see the layers, don't you? It gets really, really interesting really, really quick. But it's because we've been in such a hurry just to say. There was a post on my Facebook page today, and I've seen it many times, where as long as you have the first and last letters in place, it doesn't matter what order the letters are inside the word, and you can read it quite easily, because the programs have been placed so deep. And it's a good example of people. I'll share it on my page as long as I can get there. Let me see if it's scrolled down too far. Yeah, I'll put it up later. But you guys have probably seen it. It's a fairly good paragraph, good length, and all the long words have the first and last letter in the right place, and all the other letters, letter at the first and last are exactly the way they're supposed to be, and all the letters in the middle are jumbled, but you can still read the word because your mind is spellbound. It knows the sigils. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Hi, guys. Aloha, Mike.
The yin, or the 6, the hex, spins in. It's egocentric. Whereas the 9 spins out, which is spiritual creation, infinite. So there's the difference between Ra and Re. So Re can be referred to as light of God, or the sun, S-U-N, of God. If we take the allegorical from the Egyptian practice of observing Ra as the sun god, and that's what you are actually. The sun in the sky is your effect. You're the cause of that, not the effect of it. Okay? Side. Well, as already said, it could mean one side or the other. One face of a box, let's say. Front side or back side. It can also mean to kill. Genocide, homicide, infanticide, suicide. Okay? So now we have a different version, and of course, Ent is mind, and you can actually see mind contained within E-N-T. E, as already explained, is 9 in the mirror. It's also a 3 in the mirror, too, which is the Trinity. I'll give you lots of confirmations on this. The letter N means which is infinite and infinitely mine. It is a possessive letter in that anything it attaches to, it creates a bond, makes it yours. So E-N would be consciousness, mine. And that applies for me, it applies in every word. So I look for very specific things, and to expand the word out. As I was saying last night, I can take the letter I and actually expose, just using sounds, Phoenician rules, the grammar rules that were so ingrained in us. I can use those very same rules against the words, right? If an E sounds like an E in one word and an I in another, then I can take that same I sound and place it in any word I want. Okay, so what we have now is Re, Side, Ent. The letter T, by the way, is also the Phoenician letter that is the circle with